Okay, oh, hi there. I got bitchies. Those are my stellars. Bird I've been using on my, as my image, as my avatar. When I live here, when I was in Phoenix, I switched from the stellars to the northern mockingbird because, well, I like mocking them. I like mocking these guys too, but I call it bitching at them. Okay, so set up, ready to go with Empire Builder. Everybody gets their hand of 3 cards to begin with. There were a couple of disasters. That's going to be a little bit of an expense, and it's one of the reasons for that option. Throw the events into the discard pile and don't reshuffle them. It's a big deck of cards. It takes a while to shuffle, and they're rather stiff, and it's not that big a deal. Because when you're playing, once one of these comes out, like one of these could come out fairly early in the game when nobody's in that area. It's possible. And then you're safe for the rest of the game. What we used to do to fix that a little bit was actually throw a reshuffle in. I don't know if it's part of the game or not, actually. On the tax card. When the tax card came up, you reshuffle the whole deck and all discards. That does 2 things. One of them good, which is the concept that, like, hey, certain events, etc., have passed and they aren't going to happen again, including certain commodities that, you may have missed out on a delivery that's kind of important to you or whatever, because somebody else got the cards or whatever. That sort of rectifies that situation. The problem, of course, is you might end up building a really nice run, and then the deck gets reshuffled, and you get that same run, the same kind of cards for that run again. So you could get a luck factor that gets shuffled in inadvertently. I don't see that as any big deal. The one, there is the auction variant. My friend Fat Tom used to always, he didn't like being called Fat Tom, but that's what we called him. He used to often want to play the auction variant. It's sort of the more strategic version of the game. I don't know if you get it right off the beginning of the game, but basically once play has started, certainly, there's like 3 cards available up there for auction. And players bid on them as they show up. And I think you're allowed to have, additional cards. Basically, we could take a quick look at it. This was sort of the most... let's see if it's in here. I don't have it here. It's probably over here. But yeah, you bid on whichever cards come up as they come, and everybody has to fill out their hand of 3 cards. It allows you to, see synergies over a larger set of cards, and develop a better starting hand for yourself. And as you go, it allows you to pick up the cards that are important to you. And it's certainly an interesting variant. I have enough trouble thinking in this game as it stands, which is one of the reasons why it's so bad for me solo. I'm not terrible at it, but I certainly, wasn't very good at it. Usually what that meant was, when Tom and I were playing, he would beat me. And if anyone else was playing, I was in the running or in second place or whatever. But I found it very frustrating to do the thinking required. Speaking of the thinking required, let's start out. Everybody's got 3 cards, a choo-choo, a token, and a crayon, and 40 million bucks. And I believe, see, some of them, I think you run, let's see what the order is. See, I didn't read through the rules like I usually do. But I think we always did serpentine. Unfortunately, it's not fucking clear. You know, preparation for play doesn't tell you when you start drawing. It's probably here, but this doesn't really say it either. The rules are not really greatly... So yeah, here it is. At the beginning of the game, players take 2 turns with no train movements. Yeah, so... It looks to me like you'd run 1 turnaround, 1 turnaround, so whoever goes first has an advantage right off the bat. And we liked doing the serpentine. You come this way, then you come back, just to give, you know, a little bit more fairness to the people who are towards the end. They still don't get the best picks. It may not matter. It depends on the number of players. But in 6 players, there are only so many decent routes coming through here, for example, or through the northeast. There's some real choke points in the game. Another one down here. It's hard to tell, but where these mountains are, there's nice passes that make it possible to travel through there. So let's do some of the thinking, and I'm not going to do this for many things, and this is why, you know, playing this out is going to be hellish boring for those watching it, because I can't afford to do, you know, video analysis of each player's decisions all the time, but there ain't much else to the game, you know. Okay, so here, let's take a look at what I have. I have Seattle cattle. So there's some cattle here and Seattle's here. They're close. It only makes $11 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 bucks, because I have to go into buildings. 18 bucks, I'd lose $7. That's generally the case on your early track lays, but I'm developing track across the board, maybe getting a key location early on. It's not unimportant. Phoenix sheep. This is probably not as good. So we find ourselves Phoenix, which is down here, and we look for sheep. And sheep are up here around Billings or whatever. I can't just draw a track between these. I would have to come out of Los Angeles, and then I could either go up this way, or I could build another track up there. That's an expensive starting setup to go from small town to small town. Oh, Salt Lake City's closer. So there, what would we be talking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then we could go down, but it's more expensive. 19, I've already come up this way. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I think, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 32 bucks to make that run. It also only makes 11. It gets me more track, but it's less appealing overall. And Pittsburgh lead, which, you know, I would probably be running out of Chicago, which is a good place to start from, and heading down to Denver. And you can see that's a lot of track, but it also makes more money. Okay, well, that's basically, I'm looking at 2 things. That Seattle cattle and the Pittsburgh lead from that card. I may or may not use that card. But now I look at the next card. Kansas City nickel. Okay. There's only a couple places to get nickel. Sudbury and Vancouver. Kansas City, oh, Kansas City's big. Okay. Now, I may not be able to get to a location on 40 million bucks. There are some runs that are bigger than you can pay off, than you have cash for. However, you can sometimes use them as part of your starting plan. This is probably not one of them. But Yeah, so Kansas City nickel, that would kind of fit in perhaps with the Chicago lead, running something all the way up here. The problem, of course, is I probably can't get from Vancouver to Chicago or to Kansas City. And so I'd either be running and then all the way back up, or running and running, you know, two different runs that I have to fill out. Las Vegas wants terrorists. At least there are golf clubs in this. In Iron Dragon, they look like vampires. They look like Nosferatu. Nosy for a chew. So tourists, where do tourists come from? They come from Chicago and New York, I believe. Now, again, there's a compendium. I could look these things up, but I kind of remember a lot of them. So, for example, I look here, Chicago, New York. Yeah, those are the only places. So, Las Vegas over here. Ooh. Is there a synergy there? Maybe the Pittsburgh lead. Maybe that's about it. And Calgary wants oats. So Calgary's up here where I might want my cows, and oats are down in this area. There may be more. Fargo, Omaha, and Winnipeg. Winnipeg, Fargo, Omaha. Yeah. So this one actually kind of works well with that Seattle cattle. And then here, Philadelphia oil. Okay, I don't know. Oil obviously comes from Texas, but there may be somewhere sneaky. Oklahoma, yeah. It's just down here. Generally, these are, a lot of these at least, are geographically located. So you have something like all the oil is down here. You don't have a lot of choices. And sometimes there's sneaky stuff, though, where you're like making this huge long run and there was a short run in the other way, but, you know, you picked it up on your way. So Philadelphia wanting oil. Is this plausible? Again, maybe with that lead to Pittsburgh thing. Now, then there's always the question, you know, let's say I come out of Kansas City to Denver. How do I want to get to Oklahoma City? The cheapest way is down here. It also may be the best way. Sort of a sprawling web is often better than something that like curves back down. And if you do something like this, you'll often end up creating a little triangle of track, and then you've wasted some money, but you may gain speed off of it in the long run. Okay, Houston wants iron. Iron's here. Is that coal? It may be coal. It's hard to tell some of them apart. Just by the image. Birmingham and Duluth. Yeah, that's not it. So Birmingham's over here, and Duluth is up here. These games are really helpful for, you know, learning where certain cities are. You know, I mean, some of them I would know if I think about it a lot, but it's just easier. Not very exciting, but oh wow, we've got another nickel. Memphis wants nickel. Kansas City wants nickel. That's appealing, okay? Because I can start in one of the two nickel places and haul it to both of these. Now, Memphis is down here. This may be my best run, is cutting something like that. All right, how do you analyze this? Well, yeah, so I've got a couple of good runs that I can look at. This one only makes me $22 million. Gets me track that'll be going through Canada, which is a little far north. You know, it's not the optimal track for the West Coast. This gets me track coming from Canada down through the center line and right in the center of the country, which I kind of like better. Now, this is making me 22. This Nickel one is making me more money. I'm going to go with that. That's about the level of analysis I like to make. Anything more than that, I mean, you can completely count everything out and optimize and everything and know the exact cost. Now that I've kind of decided that this is the run I want to make, well, how do I use this card? I don't know. Probably the Pittsburgh lead, but it becomes sort of it's not part of the deal that, I'm planning, okay? Now, I don't usually line things up like this to make it easy to see the way I'm doing, but I know I'm going to need this kind of extra information to tell me what I'm up to with my train. So I'm going to shuffle the deck because my voice is kind of going, and then I'll come back and show you, well, let's count and see if we can make it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, this is, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, actually, we come this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. $16 to get me from Chicago to Sudbury. I need to get to Kansas City. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Here's where the problem is. I'm going to need to connect up 3 ways. I'm going to count that I can come out of here. So it was 21. No, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, $24. And then I easily have enough to get down to Memphis. So I can build this track. The problem is I can't, I don't have 2 turns in a row with $40. This guy will have 2 turns in a row with $40, but he gets last pick. Which means I have to decide what my most important pieces of track are. Because I'm going to be coming out of here, out of here, out of here, and out of here. Out of here. I am guessing that the Kansas City to Chicago route is going to be pretty easy to make. But other people may grab the shortest path there. That's okay with me. So I got $20 I can spend with the green crayon. Sudbury's pretty damn important to me. Memphis less so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 16. 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, one of the things that happens in this game is that you do kind of expose where you're going to and what you're doing. If people really wanted to try to screw me over, they could go grab Memphis. But if they don't need it, or if it's not just right on their route, it doesn't really do them a lot of good. It's going to cost them, if it's right on their route, it's going to cost them $3 to hook it up. Also, because we're playing in more than 2 or 3, depending, players, 2 people are allowed in those minor cities. So it would take 2 people to force me to pay them to get into there. And it's only $4 that gets exchanged when you ride someone else's track. You could end up in a screwed position where, you end up having to pay them more than once, but usually you just bounce right out of there on a single $4 run. Okay, so that's going to get me to blue. I have to do the same kind of analysis with them. Again, I'm going to shuffle the deck and help my throat. A really bad hand. I don't think there's anything in the rules that disqualifies you from taking one of your 2 build-only turns to discard your hand and draw a new one. That can happen. In this case, that's not the case. I just want to point that out because, it was one of my thoughts. Because I look at this card, and it's like Montreal, Sudbury. So Montreal needs nickel. Sudbury needs steel. right here, I've got a card that 2 of the 3 things are in one little area. An area that maybe I'm not that interested in. What I've chosen to go with is Fargo wants uranium. Uranium's not... uranium comes from Regina, so we're okay with that. It also comes from down here in Santa Fe, but that's further away. But I've got fish to Winnipeg. Fish come from here. Winnipeg is here, running through Regina. I pick up the uranium there. And then here, Vancouver wants copper. Copper comes from Portland up to Vancouver. It looks to me like this is my set. There's almost always some kind of initial synergy you can build. Question is how good it is. Do you want to see me draw on the board again, or just trust that I count correctly? I'm more likely to count correctly if I am not drawing on camera. But let's think about this. Well, nothing is too important except for Seattle, and Seattle is absolutely vital to me. I'm going to need to make it to Portland. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to come out here 7. What's the reason for that? If this bridge goes, I lose my control of Portland. So that's kind of important to me. 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to get this important space because I want it anyway. 11, 12, 13 to Vancouver. 14, 15. Now I could come up, but that doesn't really help me. 16, 17, 18, 19. Now you can see this blue crayon's not doing a very good job. Probably because I played blue too many times, so it's kind of dulled a little bit. I need to sharpen it or something. I don't have a Crayola sharpener. Use a knife, but all right. So that's blue's turn. I'm gonna use a die to indicate where I'm at. Generally, I will stop, with this guy going next, but this part of the game is particularly tough. Like I said, I see like this Minneapolis imports at 18. Generally, your goal in the early first part of the game is to get yourself a couple of those mid-size runs that have a synergy between them, and they will pretty much pay off. Not the entirety of the cost. I start with 40. I'm going to spend most of that. I'm going to get 36 back, but I'm also going to have some track that I can operate off of from then on. So I may be losing a little bit of money early on in terms of track outlay to the amount of cash that I'm getting, but it works well enough. Similarly here, I'm doing this, well, the Winnipeg run is decent. These other 2 are kind of shitty, but there isn't much other answer. So the fact that this card has 2 things here, and it has no medium run even on it. It's just small runs, that $10 steel. Here I immediately start looking, and yeah, I mean, my eye is drawn towards the 18, the 19. There's big runs. You can't make them right off the bat. Not unless you get a magical set that just drives you out and you have the extra money to get there. But you will not be able to make the really big runs on $40. You can make them you can make them initially, but only if you have this wonderful setup at the beginning. I was able to find a synergy between Jacksonville wanting nickel, going to Sudbury again, so now that's closed out. No one else can go there. Tampa wanting tourists. Hey, they're close. And I got to run through New York. Perfect. And then, I would love to use this for the imports to Minneapolis. machinery to Seattle. Obviously, I'm not going to be in the same general area there. But turning cards over is important too. And I can go to Washington, D.C. with tourists. It does mean a short detour. So I'll come down here with my nickel, hit New York, pick up a tourist, run down to Washington, D.C., and then I have to hike back to New York and go back. Probably won't see anything that changes my mind on that. It's just that there's no guarantee that I'm going to have a set of cards that gets me near Minneapolis in the near future. Whereas turning a card over for $4, getting another card might mean I can make another run down on the way to the south. Granted, I'm going to be hauling 2 things already, but, you know, maybe it turns me around and gets me a card that I can use over here as well. So there's my $20. I hope I have enough to make it all the way down to Jacksonville. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't know if any of those are inlets. So this is an inlet. But these other little jagged things are, I think, not. I think that's what it was trying to show. So what did I say? 18, I think? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I might be able to go through Savannah there. That would be cutting it exceedingly close, but there's nothing. My railway is completely bulletproof. Nothing's going to erase it. The only thing that erases track in this one is the rivers. Some of them have volcanoes and shit like that. You know, much more complicated stuff that you have to keep an eye out for. So, you know, don't be shocked. But in this particular one, if you cross rivers, that's where you might end up screwed. At the final player, I'm only going to play in 4. This Seattle bauxite, this is probably too big a run to make. Bauxite comes from Memphis. Might be able to make it on $40. $35. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 40. Yeah, it's barely out of reach. Now that would be assuming a blank board. You know, as it is, somebody's already eaten up some of this track. It would give tremendously valuable track slicing across the country. Just, you know, the most wondrous track in the world. And if I had a way to do it, it would be great. But I don't really see a way to get to this, to that result on that card off the initial opening. What I do see is Philadelphia and Toronto want heartland stuff, corn and wheat. Corn and wheat come from close by each other. Corn through here, wheat down here. There's more wheat than that, I'm pretty sure. Oklahoma City, Omaha, Winnipeg. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so I could get corn and wheat up here and get that down to Toronto, or I could going through Canada it's a big wilderness. Like, you're building track, it's cheap track for the most part, but you're building track and there's nothing near it. So I tend to stray away from building a lot of Canadian track when possible. Now, obviously, everybody's going into Canada, but, you know, these things, hey, that's where my cards are. Going up to Winnipeg for this seems a little iffy. This might make more sense to avoid hitting as many rivers. You need rags for these games. You can use paper towel or whatever, but I like using cloth because I don't like wasting anything. Okay. And let's see. So I think what I'm going to be doing, let's see, Philadelphia, Toronto. Plus I have to get to Philadelphia. And then this follow-up card, I see Fargo, which is right up in my world, leading me more towards the Winnipeg side of things, honestly. Although that may be more expensive. I see Fargo wants tobacco, which could be my trip back up. Interesting. I think I can make this. Luckily, I'm the last player, so I may have to erase. My first 20 bucks gets me up close to Winnipeg. I've got to get myself to Toronto and or Philadelphia. At least one of them I have to make it to. Right now I'm going to be hitting the wheat, the corn. I got Fargo hooked up. And then whichever one I go to first will give me enough money to get to the next one, which will give me enough money to get to the tobacco, right? Sometimes you have to pull things that way. This isn't a particularly great set of runs, but the Fargo curve in there made me spend a little bit more to go up to Winnipeg. Is Winnipeg more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What if I come down to Omaha? That'll probably cost more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So Omaha would cost me a little bit more. It would be better track, to be honest. But I don't know that I have enough cash as it stands. Oh, this is what I built. Oh, fuck. No, that doesn't work. Uh-oh. Hold on. Didn't make it to Winnipeg yet, so that 3 extra bucks I had spent to get me this crossing, I may not get that crossing. Although, I don't know who else is going to fight me for the Buffalo to Toronto route up there. But, you know, Red might want Buffalo and just hook it up. And that would kind of screw me over. And if that's the case, I have to cut across here. And that's fine, too. I don't know that I'm all that happy with, you know, sliding down this way, having to go through Toronto. But Toronto's money that I need on my way. Now, Toronto's going to give me 18. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm barely going to make it to Philadelphia then. And Philadelphia is going to give me another 15. Can I get to tobacco on 15? It looks like it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, but I'm really cutting it close with this player. They could get in trouble. A river goes out and they lose the game. Or have to restart, you know. Which was sort of the mechanism we put in play with the harsh rails was lots of restarts, but really making the game as harsh as possible. A 6-1 train with paying to run your train $1 on all track. Basically what it meant was you could draw a hand of 3 cards and you could barely survive. On the other hand, paying $4 to use bank track let people who came in later do an okay job. And then they could buy the bank track, you know, and draw it in their own color if they wished. It was always available for sale. It was just additional track that you could use if you needed it, and you almost always did in that version. We're ready to start playing. Now comes, you know, where it gets difficult in terms of what I'm doing. So I've got nickel, and I don't remember what I'm doing with this, right? I had a plan. Was it the Pittsburgh lead? Oh, no, we're not ready to play. He did 2 track builds, but this guy did not. So we gotta build his extra $20. Everybody else gets $20 more. The others, Red was able to build down to Jacksonville, a couple bucks left. So our track runs up here. Again, You know, my feeling is if you could kind of draw it without curving the track and it more or less goes over all land, I think that's not supposed to be counted against you as inlets. The things that count are these really stupidly large things. Blue over here has built their way to Regina, which they need for nothing. No, they need it for the uranium. But they went through Calgary. This is one of those cases where, you know, going around Calgary would save me a buck. A buck might be important, but claim the city. Somebody needs to get there. Maybe it's cheaper for them to ride your rails and give you some money later on. Especially in, you know, where only one person's allowed in any small city. That's a big deal. But here, 2 people are allowed. But it's quite possible that someone else may end up riding my track there. Plus, it gives me nice straight track. I don't have to divert to get to Calgary, whatever. And then Green's track, they make it all the way down to Memphis and 1 space beyond because, again, you don't want the river flooding and you lose a town because of it. You've paid $5 for this track. Yeah, you're going to have to pay $3 to rebuild it, but you know, you don't want to pay $5 again, and you don't want to completely lose the city. So poking out for an extra buck is worth it. That's Green. He has $4 left. Enough to actually rebuild one of the river crossings, but I'm crossing the Mississippi set twice. Now we're going to go to where I thought I was going to go, but I've got to swap batteries. And we're kind of running in an ugly way in terms of power, but okay. Trying to figure out what run you have, and you're just trying to remember it. Actually sitting and playing the game can be very, very relaxing. There's, you know, you're just going to be counting along. So here I'm taking nickel to Memphis and Kansas City. And I don't know about that card yet. That's my lead card. I'm not really near lead, but there's some out here in Denver that I may connect up. So I will start in Sudbury. And I get myself a pair of nickels. Now, we also allowed people on that initial building turn, if they didn't want to build track, instead of discarding as an option, they could also buy a train. Sometimes it's important to buy yourself a heavy freight. You might have a use for a heavy freight for three things going in one direction all at once. And, you know, again, it gives you a little bit more flexibility, and there doesn't seem to be anything against it in the rules. All right, so my train has a speed of 9. It's got 2 commodities on board, and I move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this is where I really do need some kind of little arrows to point me where I'm heading. This might help a little bit, but I'm going to have trouble, I can tell. All right, so that's what I'm stepping on. Don't know. A lot of shit from the yard comes in here. So now we go to the blue player. The blue player has a more complicated set of things. The Fargo is actually my last thing. I'm going to put that over here. And Vancouver's my early thing. So I'm going to need to start here. And I'll pick up a copper and a fishy on board my train. I need the fish for Winnipeg. Now I'll be able to pick it up at Vancouver. And I move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've moved 7 spaces. Generally we use dice or something to indicate how much movement you've got. I've got 2 remaining. I'll remember that. Now, I deliver my copper to Vancouver. And this is, you know, you've pretty much seen the whole game after this is done. This card gets discarded. I get $5. I'm not allowed to pick up anything else before this card gets drawn. It's important that I'm not allowed to pick up anything else because there are disasters which screw you over. Of course, I've got fish. I can pick up fish here. Los Angeles wants oil. Dallas wants nickel. And Jacksonville wants uranium. I'm a lot closer to Dallas than I am Jacksonville. But, yeah, I got room. Winnipeg wants the fish. Fargo wants the uranium. I'd have to go back and get that. Let me pick up a nickel for now. Doesn't hurt me. Sometimes you fall into this. You're carrying kind of a rare commodity that, you know, and you're just carrying it across the board. You don't really need it for anything. But then you draw a card like this that says, hey, you want this? I probably can't make the Jacksonville uranium. I might be able to make the Dallas nickel eventually. I don't have a lot of money right now. In fact, I lose. Right? I need to get those fish to Winnipeg, and I don't have enough money. All right, so this is how you fuck up the game. I thought I had enough, but this track is so expensive, you know, it doesn't look like I have a lot of track, and I have fucked up. So yeah, I need to get fish to Winnipeg, and I only have $9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, excellent. No, I didn't fuck up. I'm brilliant. Yeah. No, so I have 2 more moves before that. I move here. A disaster could fuck me, I think. I'm not sure. Now I got to build to Winnipeg. 1. Yeah, I hate this crayon. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. So that junction rule is weird, like the calling out junctions, not having to pay for a junction under one optional, because there's no indication that I found in the rules that you have to pay for junctions anyhow. So I'm not sure why it calls it out. This is going to be kind of hard to see that blue and black are connecting there, and they look like almost one line. On the bright side, the blue crayon's doing such a shitty job that it is actually pretty distinguishable from the softer black crayon. I remember blue working okay, but maybe I'm just a little high because it does seem harder. The different crayons for the game have different consistencies, and they just draw differently. And like the yellow one is almost invisible, and it's really hard to erase. It kind of smears on the board. I remember the brown one being kind of iffy too, but that may be just, you know, I think it's okay. But the yellow one was particularly problematic, and that's why you don't really want to play in 6, because it tints the whole board yellow everywhere it's been. The blue may be almost as bad, though. The way I remember who's who is from the crayons, and I'm picking the crayons up and depositing them here, and I'm like, whoa, you know, because the little markers tell you the color. Normally, yeah, I probably should have picked a color setup that I would remember better, like blue, red, green, black. Blue is sort of my favorite color. Security question, man. Yeah, right. And wouldn't use that one, but yeah. You know what I hate with security questions, and they've moved this way completely, is fixed questions, right? I used to like create your own security questions, because I would do things like, you know, that would refer to something in my life, kind of like the XKCD passwords, that there's just no way I would forget any more than, like, you know, what town were you born in and stuff like that, but that no one else had any fucking chance of knowing, right? Some of which involved, you know, mathematical formula inside them and whatnot. And yeah, just really, really twisted shit. That the problem with that, of course, is people would write something that basically tells them what the password, what the secret answer is. Right in it, you know. There are ways you could defend against that as a programmer that would still allow the kind of flexibility that isn't only asking people fucking shit that you probably have told people. You know, like mother's maiden name. Yeah, that's pretty fucking easy to find out. Town you were born in. This shit is just like out there, man. Anyone who wants to research it can find that stuff. There is a problem. Red was relying on nickel to Jacksonville. Maybe not paying attention to where everybody else was, what they were starting. There's a nickel here, and there's 2 nickels here. There's only 3 in the fucking game. I can't make the run I built. This is another way you can get screwed. Now, I could delay and wait until somebody drops one. Will $4 million plus what I have in hand get me to Tampa? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it will. So I think I'm going to actually start in New York. And I'm kind of screwed by this. I mean, seriously screwed. But a turn delay is also kind of problematic. And maybe I can turn this card around in some other way or use it because I have that track already. But it really does suck. It's good to go first, right? Okay, so I get... This is always a possibility, though, in this game. So I get a pair of tourists, as we call them, terrorists, and I move down to Washington. 1, 2, 3. That means I have 6 move left, and I deliver this for $4 million. And no, I'm not using chips for this. I don't know, you know. At what point do you decide chips for everything, never cash it, never use paper money? I draw my card. Heavy snow. All trains within 8 mileposts of Regina move at half rate. No movement or rail building is allowed in the mountain mileposts of this area. These cards are kind of problematic when playing solitaire. There's just so much in this game that is. So 8 movement posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is going to impact blue. There's no question. Might impact black if they're going up to Winnipeg early on, which I think they are. And they're just going to have half movement as soon as they reach that region. I get to draw another card. So the reason this is problematic is I have to pay attention to the existence of this card and whose turn it's on. And between the two, that can be hard to remember. Heavy snow. All trains within 10 mileposts of Des Moines. Half rate. No rail building allowed in the area. The no rail building can also screw you over. So, I mean, it's not just like that lack of nickel screwed somebody early. It might be possible that you absolutely need to build some rail once the game, right when the game starts, and you could lose a couple of turns for that as well. And you can lose those couple of turns later on as well, too. Where's Des Moines? Down here. These don't multiply. It's just half rate, even if they overlap. And then the final card is... Okay, so I brought my terrorists down. I delivered them. And now I've got... Savannah needs cogs. Oh, boy. So... This doesn't make me a lot of money, but if I hooked these up $6, I would get 4 back. I have $6, but 4 won't get me to Tampon Bay. So, I can't do that. Other options, Chicago, sugar. There's no sugar near me. Sugar comes from San Francisco and nowhere else. And St. Louis needs lead. There's no lead near me either. Boise, Calgary, Denver, it's all in the west. So this is kind of a shitty card. I probably want to do the Savannah Cogs. Machinery. I've got 6 moves left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I have to spend my $6 to get me to Tampa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I also lucked out to have exactly the amount I needed. You never want to waste money. So, like, to some extent, you might have built too much. The fact that I could go to Washington, well, maybe I didn't want to go to Jacksonville before maybe I didn't want to build that track to Jacksonville, because now it's clear that the Raleigh-Savannah connection, had I not built that other track, I would have the money to make that other run in, just on the way. There's an opportunity cost to laying your track too early. On the other hand, there's a danger that someone grabs the track that you need. So that's also problematic. Let's take a look at Black. His piece is almost invisible. What's he doing? He was doing corn and wheat to Philadelphia and Toronto. Maybe not Philadelphia yet. That'll start me up here. In Winnipeg, I'll take an oats and a wheat, just to have extra stuff. Now, my train is halved, so it only moves 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I make it to Fargo. That doesn't help me at all. And we're back over here. You've seen almost all the mechanisms of play in the game. Not all the event cards. And my battery. Sorry about the rapid spin there. Sometimes I forget. I am low on battery right now. I could also probably use a bathroom break and maybe fuck around on the computer a little bit. So it'll be a little while before I come back. But yeah, I mean, this is really sort of how the game begins. I'll put a little bit more on this video before ending and maybe stay at the same level of detail that I've been going. Not the full analysis that I did on the first player, but then I'm going to start backing away and playing and videoing less and less of the play. What's funny is when I bought this, and this I think was the first one I bought. It took me a while to get Euro Rails, quite a while. I had Iron Dragon already by the time I got Euro Rails. And then all the whatever else I've gotten is much, much later, and I don't think I've ever played any of the others that I have. They're the puzzle board ones. My buddy Tom got all the roll ones. He liked those better. In fact, he had Empire Builder and ended up buying North American Rails, and I'm just like, why? But anyway, by the time I bought this, I already kind of knew that I didn't really like the game, but I also knew that a lot of my buddies liked it. And I don't know, I mean, I got it used. There's no way I would have bought it new. Probably $5 or less. And I was just like, yeah, sure, And in a way, I'm kind of glad I did. I didn't mind playing with my wives that much. I really hated the amount of times that this got played in gaming, but I had no control over that. I wasn't the one bringing it, and the Crayon Rails in general. Because, I don't know, it's one thing to be just relaxing, with someone that you want to spend time with, and that's all that you're doing it for, really, is an ability to be playing a game while spending time together. That's a lot of how, I'm used to enjoying time with my female companions, partners, whatever. But, well, not recently, not for the past many, many years. But anyway, that's sort of a comfortable activity that I'm used to. But, it's a little different when you went out of your way to be around people you aren't normally around, that you aren't entirely comfortable with. I mean, they can be good buddies and whatever, but, you're wearing clothing, shit like that, right? It's just a different situation. And once you pass that barrier where you have to be wearing clothing, you have to maybe go out to buy food or something like that because you're not at your house, shit like that. Once you move to that level, you're just in a different world, and to me, it's like it feels really shitty to go gaming and play stuff that I don't really terribly like under those kind of circumstances. And too often that's been the case, way too often. Even when I'm with people who we all like kind of the same sort of games, there's always the, well, what do you think we should play? And wasting hours on that and everything. Where I just wish, I don't know, I wish life was easier in a lot of ways. Badly confused. I looked at this guy and said, oh shit, I can't tell what I'm doing, basically. So yeah, I am traveling with double nickel. I have Memphis and Kansas City, and then I have this other card. Now, one of the first things I did was thought it was blue, and I'm like, well, what the hell? Because again, I'm used to putting blue in that location, and I really shouldn't futz around with a game of this nature. So I'm carrying my nickel to Kansas City and Memphis. There's weather. Des Moines and Regina, 10-mile posts of Des Moines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm within that. And yeah, no rail building. I got to remember that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm across the river. That's some protection. I could be screwed otherwise. I don't really think I want to spend this money until I make it into Kansas City at the very least. You also can't cross the river in these locations, but at least you don't get screwed out of a bridge, I think. I think you can't cross it. I'd have to look that up if we're in that kind of circumstance. Blue. Blue is heading... I have fish and nickel that I maybe want to bring to Dallas, but I'm not sure. The fish is going to Winnipeg. I got to get down to Fargo for the other thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Check again. Regina. 8-mile posts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6, 7. I have 2 movement points left. That's halved. I can move 1 into Calgary. I don't think I want anything there. So now we go on. And this player continues his turn, and then the 2 cards get discarded. So he's doing this Jacksonville-Tampa run. He does not have his nickel. So all he has is the tourists and has to figure out what the hell to do with this card afterwards. The Savannah Machinery I wasn't set up for. 7 to Jacksonville. 8, 9 to Tampa. And yeah, I'm in this kind of weird shape where I don't have these cards. These get discarded. I'm going to separate them. Disasters have a way of sticking together and finding each other. I'm not sure why. I can't think of any reason for it, but it happens, and there probably is a reason. Okay, so I'm in Fargo carrying wheat. Wheat is going to Toronto. I need to get corn, which I get at Minneapolis. I am within the Des Moines range, but it doesn't hurt me now. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4 to Minneapolis. I get rid of the oats. I put this here, indicating I have 5 movement points left. Yeah, this is pretty simple, and I shouldn't screw up, but with me talking on camera, it's quite possible. And I needed some corn. You know, speaking of corn, I had a completely different impression of what the game cornholing was. And was really shocked to hear frat guys talking about cornhole game with one another. Turned out it wasn't what I expected. But okay, so I've got 5 movement points left, and I am heading to Toronto. Oh, Jesus. Oh, what is the song? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There's a dot here. You can hardly see it. One of the problems with the black crayon is it writes over the dots and you can't see them. The blue, being so faint, doesn't do that. Again, quirks across the board. Now, I've got a problem. I don't get to Philadelphia. I only have $1. So whatever I'm going to be doing, it's going to be off my $18 from Toronto, which means I may be sitting here at Toronto or in that space or something and building track out of there. I don't have the cash right now to make it. Not on $1. Why is that? I don't know. But yeah, it's one reason not to, when you're pushing things too far. But the thing is, I can come down here and maybe do a cheaper, better route where Toronto just becomes a spur coming out. All right, back around the boot. A boot what? And again, I have to pay attention. What am I doing? Double nickel, Kansas City, Memphis. Nothing weather-wise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I reach Kansas City. I want to move another one, 7, to get across the river, just in case there's a problem. That leaves me with 2 movement points. Again, prevents me from having to look it up, right? I get 18 million, which gives me this cash. 10, 20. I draw a card. Oh, lead. Lead to Buffalo. Like, I feel like I'm kind of close to Buffalo, but maybe not so close as I thought, because that Toronto link is gone. But Boise swine, it's a long way to haul my piggies. Although it's about the right. There's no piggies closer than the ones I'm near. And Miami fruit is just a shitty card unless you're down there and need to get rid of the card. So I got this, and I got this. I got 2 lead cards, Pittsburgh and Buffalo. That is promising. I bet you that's the way I go. I got 2 more movement points. 1, 2. I'm heading for Memphis. How do I want to do this? So Pittsburgh and Buffalo are up here. It would feel kind of wise to come out of Chicago, build less track, building big loops. So I'd have to pay a lot more to build this track, and I don't have a hell of a lot of money. So let's say I wanted to go to Pittsburgh from, I don't know, say here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 to Pittsburgh. That would leave me $3. Whereas if I take a little bit of a detour, it costs me maybe a turn. Now, later in the game, this becomes more of a balancing act. You have plenty of cash. Of course, you're trying to get to a specific cash value to win, but you have plenty of cash, and it feels like, for $15 I can save a turn now and probably at other times too, by creating more of a web of rails rather than, kind of a sparsely designed net. I don't know which is better. I have seen both work well. So, but what I want to do is I want to build me that track to Pittsburgh, don't I? No, see, I need to build the lead. That's the problem. Okay, so this gets more expensive. Lead is, I don't just have it. Boise, Calgary, and Denver. Denver is probably the only cheap one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But this is probably pretty easy track. Even though it's the first thing I have to get to, this is probably a track that's not going to be heavily contested. And I could look at other people's cards and see if they have lead. I never think to do that. I'm not that bright. But this is sort of key track cutting through an important area of the board. There's no big red cities around here, so there's a lot less desire to run track through there. But there's a lot of crowded cities around here and some big ones. Remember, you have to connect up 5 of the 6. So I'm going to build out of Chicago first. Now, I can't build here. So I'll do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get close to Cincinnati. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We'll claim Pittsburgh. Do I want to run up to Buffalo? Not particularly. I'm going to save some money because money is flexibility. Now, I had enough money I could buy a train or something, but here's the thing. I wouldn't have enough to make this run if I buy another train. So we're holding there, and we come down to this guy. And I think his route is just pretty simple, but again, I have to look every damn time when I'm playing solo. When I'm playing opposed, I have to look every time too, but it's, less times per turn. And sometimes I can remember what I'm doing. Sometimes. Okay, so I've got Fishies for Winnipeg. He still has 2 nickels. That can't be the case. I couldn't pick anything up in Kansas City, so now I'm kind of at risk. Sometimes you might even go a space out of your way to pick up some extra load. Just to avoid when you're on a really big run or something. So here I've got a nickel and a fish. The nickel's useless, but it was screwing someone. Oh, well, not completely. Winnipeg with the fish I need to get to. And I'm going to come back for the uranium for Fargo. That way I can carry the nickel that I want for Dallas, depending on what's happening. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This could easily confuse me. I could think that I've passed my destination and have screwed up by the time I get around to my next turn. And yeah, it's things like that that frustrate me so much about this game, right? Okay, what do we got here? We have tourists for Tampa, and that's all we're doing. We don't have any cash because we weren't able to haul the nickel to Jacksonville. So I spend 2. That's going to put me at 7. Put a 1 here for that to remind me. Okay, I remember to pull these out of my way and grab my 15 million and discard the card. All very easy when you're playing without a camera in your hand, but with the camera, it's, I don't know. Okay, I've got another machinery going to New York. Cotton for Salt Lake City, that's a long way if I don't have something. And Boston Wood is a crappy run, one of these little ones like the other cogs. It's looking to me like I might want to make these 2 cog runs. That'll get me up near the nickel to run it back down to Jacksonville. So I have 7 movement points left. Might as well grab some fruit. Oh, I'm going to need cogs. Screw that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I get 2 cogs because I have, it's machinery. Sometimes, I'll call swine piggies, machinery cogs, just whatever. Green has lost their crayon again. Okay, now I got to go to Savannah. Well, again, I don't want to create a little loop. How many times am I going to go through Savannah? So I will spend $3. I'll connect this. I don't know why. It's midway, That's $3, and then I have to get to New York. I already get there. And then I have to get to Nickel, and I already get there. So I spend $3. Didn't have the money for a train anyway. Sometimes it sucks when you don't spend a lot on track, but you buy, but you can't buy a train because you spent like a couple bucks on track. Over here to black, what's he doing? Wheat and corn. Toronto, Philadelphia, and then probably back to Fargo with the tobacco. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This doesn't flood. Well, I'm going to be bouncing out of Toronto, and it's going to, be a pretty big space. We'll go around a little bit more, get most of this initial run fired off, and then maybe start setting up, the follow-up runs. That gives you a pretty good idea of what the game's about. Anything else, you're just watching because you adore me or something. I don't know. I mean, seriously, whatever. You're hoping that I drop some kind of verbal gem or joke or make an idiot of myself or find a rock. Ooh, I have a lot of these rocks. Ow. This isn't a rock. That's a piece of plant. Okay, so let's take a look at greenies. Greenies, again, and this is where I want to get away from things. Nickel to Memphis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No dot there. Going beyond that, that means I have 4 movement left. Nickel to Memphis is going to give me 18 bucks. I mean, it's a little bit more painful to deal with paper money than chips, but not a lot. Certainly, if the chips were these tiny, tiny ones, and I had some tiny plastic poker chips at one point, horrible. I never used them. But, you know, some games give you little chips as coins or whatever. That got rid of another nickel, so now there's at least a dime in there. I am in Memphis, which produces bauxite. I think maybe the only place that produces it. Yep. Oh, speaking of which, we have one hell of a bauxite run. If I can make this, I could get close to the lead. I have a decent amount of money. I have $29. It's quite possible that I could. Now, building doesn't happen until after you finish movement, and I got 4 movement points left. Let me grab 2 bauxite, because unless something weird happens, I want them anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. But now let's see if I can make it to Los Angeles on 29 bucks. And I want to go by Denver. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I can't do it. That's a shame. This would be one hell of a run. I could burn the lead to Santa Fe. I've got fruit to Duluth. Maybe I don't want to move because there's fruit down in Tampa. And Duluth is not that far off me. Okay, so I have 2 choices. I either go grab my lead, which is I think what I want to do. And I don't really want to do the Santa Fe one. I'll hold on to this, that 30 million bauxite. I may be making multiple runs to Los Angeles area. So what are we looking at? We're looking at the Buffalo-Pittsburgh lead. Do I have enough money? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm already hooked. Oh, I already spent money to Pittsburgh. That's what screwed me. I grabbed that track. If I hadn't grabbed that track, I might have had enough to haul that bauxite to Los Angeles. Again, opportunity costs. Wanted to grab this, but now my choices are more limited. Okay. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We go to Denver. Screw Santa Fe. I don't want to waste that card particularly. I said 12. Yeah, it's easier one-handed to do the chips. Yeah, everything's easier two-handed, isn't it? All right. Well, maybe not everything. I usually only use one finger even to pick my nose. Okay. What's going on with Blue? Blue is running to Winnipeg, if I recall correctly, with those fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ignore what else they might be doing. They blow the fish. Ooh, that sounds vaguely strange. 22 million bucks. I hope they took video. Okay. I got 4 more moves left, and I get a card. Terrorists for Los Angeles. That's again 30 million. And I'm not that far, right? Chicago's a little ways, and Los Angeles is a little ways, depending on how much money I have, maybe. Savannah Swine and Cincinnati Cars. Again, this is the last one down there. It's the burn. A lot of them have this. Just a really cheap, shitty run. Easy way to get rid of a card if you're just not set up for it. You usually don't use them late in the game, but maybe early on. So I have the Dallas Nickel, which I kind of wanted to do, but I could cut that out a little bit coming south, and then I could hook myself back up. How much money do I have? I don't have a whole shitload of money here. So I think it's really, really unlikely that I will be able to do too much of this. But if I deliver the nickel to Dallas rather than, well, yeah, I don't want to deliver the oil to Los Angeles if I have to go down to Oklahoma City anyway. What's going on with this one? Fargo Uranium. Do I just want to get rid of this? It's a shitty card. Okay. So I'm going to pick up, I look, there's less wheat available than oats, so I'll take a wheat. That's not just to be dicky. Maybe I need a wheat, and they run out. I got 4 more move. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm heading for Regina to pick up my uranium. I have to go to Fargo with that uranium, and then I have to go down to Dallas. That uranium's only going to get me 7 million, so I got to be careful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18, 19, 20, there. Okay, now I have almost nothing. I have 9 million bucks to make it to Dallas. Can I do it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Not quite. I'm a buck short. Well, that blows. What if I ride someone else to Fargo? So my track to Fargo would cost me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bucks. Just riding there only costs 4 bucks. All right, so we're going to see something clever. And green is a fucking multiple offender here. Okay, so if I ride down to Fargo, I can kind of wait a little bit and see whether or not where I want my track to be built. This is painful though. So how much uglier is this going to get? That's a good question. How about I spend 2 bucks? I don't have to connect all my track. I'm coming from a major city to get to there, to get to that junction. Not guaranteeing I'm using it, but there's some of my blue track, and boy does that look icky. Okay, over to red. What's red up to? Damned if I know anymore. I want to get Jacksonville nickel, but first I have to get my cogs to Savannah. And 1, 2. That leaves me with 7. I'll try to get a bigger die here. Savannah gets me 4 million bucks. Was there sugar anywhere down here? No, sugar's just like San Francisco. Because they import it from Cuba there. I don't know. No. Got to be from the Far East. Pretty sure South America and Central America still grows some sugar, though. Even if Cuba is... All right, we draw one. We got steel to Atlanta. There's a throwaway. Winnipeg needs sheep. I'm not near sheep, nor am I near Winnipeg. And Santa Fe needs imports. This looks like another shitty card for me. And here's the thing. Steel from Atlanta, that's Birmingham. That's why it's so fucking cheap. But the steel that's near me at all is like Pittsburgh and stuff. This is a shitty card. That's all you got to do. I say I have 7 stuff. I have cotton and tobacco. Neither of which is terribly useful to me. If you sold a machinery, I gotta remember to throw these out when I'm done with them. Let's grab a tobacco. Tobacco's pretty rare. Okay, and I said I've got 7 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Red is not off to a good start. They got screwed out of the nickel, didn't get their money from that, and now they're running boinker routes all over the fucking place. Now that's one of the things that happens in this stage of the game, is you don't have enough money to build a big run, perhaps, and you don't draw the best cards. And you don't really want to throw them away because you can make something of them, maybe within a turn or two. And here, like, I don't want to throw them away because I have this nickel and I built all the track for that and I never cashed it in. Okay, going to Toronto. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't believe my brain. I can't remember it. Sell this wheat for $18 million. I'm going to have to look it up. It's just killing me. I have 5 movement left, I'm assuming, is what I did there. And I draw Vancouver wants oats. That's a long way to go, but maybe. Des Moines wants bauxite. Well, I'm not really near bauxite, and yeah, I'm close to Des Moines, so maybe. And Savannah wants coal. Again, not really in my place. This is not a horrible card, but it's also one that's waiting for something to develop. Okay, so I have 5 movement left. Philadelphia is shortest coming this way. I could come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, $17 to Philadelphia. That's a lot of money. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, $14. I'm going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to here. And I'm going to build coming out of there because it just, oh shit. I think I was 7 out. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm spending the extra money to come out of New York just to get that nice, easy track because someone else took the other route coming out of the south of New York, and things could get really ugly, and I need to hook New York up. I don't remember how much money I spent. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That leaves me with not a whole hell of a lot. I'm going to Philadelphia with my corn. I just came out of Toronto. I'm going to grab cars. Cars are kind of rare. Again, cogs are all over the fucking place, but I'm going through Detroit in a moment. But I won't remember to switch. Alrighty. Is it break time? I want to get a little further before I load this one up. Weird, I'm taking a certain kind of enjoyment out of explaining every fucking thought that I have about the game as I do it. I mean, about, the decisions I'm making, more than I would enjoy just soloing it, which I don't know what that means. I don't want to keep playing at this level, but at least somehow I'm sharing the pain or something. I don't know. So green is heading for lead. He's got lead for Pittsburgh and Buffalo, and then he's got this iffy card. It'd be neat if I could, like, you know, the honeymoon game, right? Where you're allowed to drop, where you drop off commodities and they sit places. I have never played that. That sounded like it would be a crowded mess, mainly because these things, you know, take up more than a dot's worth of space. But I'm a little intrigued by the concept of it, because you'll pick up random stuff and you'll move it around and it'll no longer be where it's expected to be picked up anymore, and the chit pool will run out and there will be things in stupid places and you'll be hoarding them on your track and everything. We never played that way. It didn't feel necessary. It feels like the little, you know, optimization puzzle of your routes, your pickup delivery routes, is really what the game's all about. But this idea of being able to move shit around is kind of nifty. I'm surprised we never did it. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going for lead. Might as well go for lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to get more confusing when somebody buys a 12 train, because I won't remember until just about everybody has one, and then everybody will have one, whether they bought it or not. All right, I'm taking my my lead to Pittsburgh and to Buffalo. Well, let's build the Buffalo track now, because nobody's taken it yet. I can't just shoot up to here, so I'm going to have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's why it happens. Okay, my fingers aren't grabbing it now. That's not usual. I have fingernails, so you know. Okay, on to blue. Blue was picking up their uranium to bring to Fargo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What do I drop for the uranium? I have the nickel for Dallas, so I want to hold on to that. And I grab some uranium. Uranium and nickel sounds like a safe thing to put together. Not as good as uranium and lead. What you don't want to do is you don't want to pack uranium with your piggies. Okay. That's how you get glowing pink slime. All right. Red is, I think, next. And God, they're hauling their cogs up to New York. And then they want to get the nickel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means 3 movement there. And my cogs go to New York. That gives me $6 million bucks. If you forget to pay yourself, you're going to get fucked. At least this early. Okay, Portland wants iron. There's iron down in Birmingham. That's quite possible. Detroit wants cotton. I'm not hauling cotton. I could have been. Could have been. And Fargo wants cogs, which, you know, whatever. Still not seeing anything developing. I've got 3 more moves left to go to Sudbury. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, I just don't know. Could well be the iron running up to Portland. If I don't get another card that works, that's possible. Black. What's black hauling? Black's hauling corn to Philadelphia. Didn't get anywhere. Didn't learn anything new. Don't want to do anything. This is the kind of time when, if you have a shitload of money, you know, 20 bucks or whatever, it's time to upgrade to a faster train or whatever. Yeah. Back to green. Denver for my lead. And I want double lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I switch double bauxite for double lead. And you know, it's one lump of shit for another. It really is. They both look like just piles of garbage. Do I make it to where I want to go with my lead? Buffalo, yes, I built my track there. I don't know what I want to do with this card yet. Got plenty of time to think about it, and I got 2 cards to get rid of. Puts me to blue. Blue is going to Fargo still. 1, 2, 3. No, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 3 moves left. I owe $4 to the black player. Does he have 6? He does not. So now comes the ugly make change. For riding to Fargo. I've delivered my uranium to Fargo. I get 7 for that. Should have grabbed my money first, that I could have paid him. And I draw a card. New York wants cars. Houston wants wood. See, I got wood, but it's way over here in Portland. Yeah, wood comes from both Portlands. It's the only place, right? Yeah. Miami wants corn. That's possible. So I got 3 moves left, and I got to think about this. And this is one thing the faster train allows you to do. It allows you to bounce out of, just like in Rail Baron, it allows you to bounce out of other people's track quicker. So I want to deliver my nickel to Dallas. That's key. Once I do that, you know, do I want to bring the wood to Houston at the same time is the real question. Or can I get corn here? I can get corn nearby in Des Moines, so no worries. Yeah, I think the corn to Miami sounds plausible. And piggies to Savannah. Oh, we're looking at the need for like a heavy train now. Now I can get piggies a little closer at St. Louis. So depending on how I build my track, that's a possibility. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. So I have 3 moves left. I'll come down 1, 2, 3. I've already paid for this running on this guy's track. And now I build my own track coming up from here where I have track. 1, 2, 3, 4, so I can get those piggies and corn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's $9. That doesn't get me where I want to go, and I don't have a hell of a lot left. This could be problematic, right? I have plenty. So 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 19. 16, 19, that sounds like something that would make someone unhappy. One way or another. Okay. I delivered my uranium and didn't remember to drop it off. And I picked up whatever the hell I get there, oats. Because I have my nickel and I want to protect it. Always protect your nickels. Otherwise they'll fall on the track. All right. Oh, where are we? We're on red. Hey, blue. Hold on to your crayon. You're getting, anyone to the left is dangerous. Don't take that beyond what it means. Okay. What are we doing? We dragged cogs somewhere. We're holding cogs. We wanted to drop cogs somewhere, didn't we? I think we screwed up. I think we have tourists instead. Yeah, and I always look under C for cogs. Yeah. So I have tobacco and tourists. Actually, it really doesn't matter. So I'm heading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I make it to Sudbury. Since I'm way out here in the middle of nowhere, I'll get rid of my tobacco and tourists, and I will grab a double nickel. Now, so much nickel cards have come out that maybe there isn't a hell of a lot of them left. I don't know. But there are very few places to get nickel. It's a lot easier for me to get tourists and tobacco. I'm heading back to Tobacco Land. So no problem there. Tourists, well, tourists are only easy Chicago and New York, but that's my main line right now, is going through New York. And then black is heading where? I don't know. Philadelphia with my corn. And I got cars that aren't going anywhere. So I try to find the dots here. 1, 2. That leaves me with 7 again. For some reason, 7 is represented by a 1. That's worth $15 million. I remember to grab the corn. I got a $4 windfall from blue, remember? And I draw a card. New York wants oil. Dallas wants porn. And Tampa wants Earl. Oh boy. So this is kind of a mess right now in terms of what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my stuff, right? I go to Fargo. I could get tobacco to Fargo. I'm not that far from making that run. The bauxite to Seattle, that's probably overly ambitious. Oil to New York sounds hard. Oil to anywhere sounds hard. I'm nowhere near oil. That's problematic. Coal to Savannah is coming out of there. I'd hook that up. I'd have 3 of the 5 cities hooked up already. Of course, the hard one is going to be the West Coast one. You know, Vancouver needs oats. That's a long walk. And Des Moines needs bauxite and isn't willing to pay a hell of a lot for it. Now, I get to Des Moines pretty easily, but I don't get to bauxite very easily, which makes the Savannah coal kind of interesting. Is there anything I want here? There was the Fargo tobacco. If I grab the tobacco and bring it to Fargo, I might as well bring the coal to Savannah. And that will get me a good ways towards maybe hauling oil to New York or something. All right. But this is not my track. So I was at 7, eh? Oh, let me get a boat. Technically, it's imports. They're kind of hard to find, too. Although there are plenty here. 7, so 8, 9, I guess. It doesn't make much difference. Oh, hi. Pecking through the moss I cut up. I cut that up with the hose. Kind of like a pressure wash. They like to play in my gutter, too, and they flip all the shit out looking for little buggies. Yeah, so I'm going to be running down to Savannah and coal and Fargo for tobacco. So I'm going to head down this way. I could get tobacco cheaper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bucks there. $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20. I hope I have enough money for this. It looks like I have piles of money. It's going to cost me $3 more to hook up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just have enough. That's cool. I would hate to have to erase all this shit. So now I'm set up with, not a particularly good run. Something to get rid of this card, which I just don't really want to run. I'm going to get $8 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, something like $15. So I'm going to lose $7 off of this card. But I get some track. I hook up Atlanta, I get Birmingham, I get Savannah, neither of which I was guaranteed to have. I went through Raleigh. I could spend a little bit I could have spent a little bit to avoid it. But claiming cities seems worth it. That would have been, yes, that would have been how I justified, if I was like $1 short or something, that's what I would have done, to save a couple of bucks. I would have avoided Raleigh. It's not necessary to my run. But hitting little cities, straight track, keeping me kind of close to the Norfolk, Washington, where if I absolutely need to, I can hook in there, seems all important to me. I think we've done enough on this video. Mainly because I need a rest, and pretty good view of the basic mechanisms of the play. Now, this is the hard part of the game. This is when you might not make it. We're kind of past that. Yeah, I know people are like blowing. They're blowing their entire wad of money and ending up with, maybe no bucks left or whatever. But honestly, if you had nothing you could run and you ditched your 3 cards, you would probably get something you could run on the next 3 cards, even with no money, just by the amount of cities that most of these players have hooked up. So if things go terrible, you're probably safe. Really early in the game is when you can totally fuck up, because you have to cut. The thing is that you're playing this optimization game. You're optimizing to the penny, and the only track you have is the track set up to build to your cities that you absolutely need for the 3 cards you have. Anyway, up it goes.